Did you know that the first Tokyo Game Show was first held in 1996? Now, the busiest Tokyo Game Show was in 2016, with over 300,000 people in attendance. You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 98. My name's Gareth Briley. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Hey, not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Good. Hey. I like that.
Hey.
I'm very good, thank you. And on my virtual right is Mr. William Caruana. How you doing, William?
I'm doing all right, you know.
You haven't been here for a while, have you? Because you've been working.
Yeah, I am a grad student now, so very busy with grad school. I think the last time I was on was early in August, so it's been a little while. Oh, no, sorry, we did Gamescom, so late August. It hasn't been too long.
Yeah, a month though.
But I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, good. Great. Right, gentlemen, here we are. We're into the crazy season now. We're getting into October the 1st today. All the games are coming out. We've got loads of games on the Xbox Hub site that we're reviewing. Endless list of them. They're all coming out from nowhere. But what have you been doing this week? James, what have you been up
to? Well, for a change, I actually ventured outside the house in the past week. I booked a trip to the Sea Life Centre to see all the lovely fishes. And that was a nice little experience. So a few penguins, some seals. And it's actually a really lovely place to go, the Sea Life Centre.
Where is it? Whereabouts is it?
I went to the one in Scarborough.
Oh.
But yeah, the colours of the fish and the setup, it's mind-blowing how good it looks. When you're in there, you're like, wow, this is immense. That these kind of animals and creatures are around the world in the sea. There's so many different varieties as well. I mean, I can never believe that human nature could create such amazing fish. I mean, there really is some amazing fish. One was like a unicorn. I was like, wow, is this real? And it was. Yeah, it was a nice little trip out. And I enjoyed seeing some fish.
This is a profound way to start the podcast. I like it. Some statements about humankind and everything else. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and they had a seal hospital where they look after polar seals.
Oh.
That they found. And they treat them and then put them back in the ocean. And there was one there, and it was kind of sad to see it there, but it was good to see it getting looked after.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a, double-edged sword. Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice place. A bit expensive, but they spend a lot of money to look after the animals. So, you got to pay to keep them going.
You do have to pay to keep them. I never knew the podcast would ever go this way. But yeah, so support your local sea life centre. William,
definitely.
Have you got one near you?
Get some cereal. Because you can get a 2-for-1 voucher.
There you go.
Their tickets.
William, what's the nearest? What's in Toronto? What's the nearest Sea Life Centre?
I'm trying to find out. I know that we have an aquarium that it's actually Ripley's Believe It or Not, if you know the books.
Yeah.
They own an aquarium and they do a lot of conservationist efforts and things like that. So I know there's them in the zoo, but I don't think we have a Sea Life Centre per se in the conventional sense.
Right. Fine. That's okay. But William, what have you been doing this week?
So over this past week, I've been pretty busy. I've had a couple papers due. Those are all in. But I did get to squeeze in the new Venom movie, Venom Let There Be Carnage. That came out yesterday here in Toronto, so my brother and I saw it. I quite liked it. He didn't like it as much. It was a little loud and boisterous and everything, but I think if you like the first, it's a lot of the same stuff here. It's quite funny. You know, the character designs are great. Carnage is great, and please stick around for the credits. There's something very special in the credits that you are definitely going to want to see. So
good. It's got some really nice reviews. People, and I think you just said that. It's a lot more fun. They've they've got the balance right. They know what they're doing, and Tom Hardy has got some really nice reviews. So it's very almost like a physical comedy piece.
Yeah, for sure. This one is definitely. I think by most metrics, it's better than the first. I have a bit of a softer spot for the first just because it was so fresh at the time and a bit of a breath of fresh air, even though it wasn't for everyone. But this is, a lot tighter, a lot more focused, and tonally consistent, as you said. So, yeah,
good.
I think it'll go over well.
Good. Okay. Brilliant. I have been watching. There's two things I want to chat about really briefly. I've been watching Midnight Mass, which is on Netflix at the moment. It's a series by Mike Flanagan, who did. Oh God, what did he do? The Haunting of something. The two Haunting.
Hill House.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and this is a kind of limited series set on a kind of small island off an American coast. It's like a little island 30 miles off the coast, and it follows this priest who comes back from his pilgrimage and is replaced by a younger version, and mysterious things go on from his journey in the thing, and everyone starts going to mass, and everyone starts to look a bit younger. Everyone starts to ailments all get better. I'm not going to say anything else because I'll spoil it, but it's a really great little series. They're really good. He's a brilliant Mike Flanagan. He's really good at doing these kind of like worlds, but he also is a fantastic writer and does some of the best monologues in this thing that I've ever seen. But that's really worth 7 episodes if you fancy it. Also, the next 7 episodes. Yeah, James.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
Yeah, James is not going to watch it. No. We know James, so I don't know. EGX, we're going to be there next week. Me and Rich are going to be there, so we might do a little bit of a podcast from there. We've got some interviews to go. But just shout out for anyone, any developers, any kind of young developers, indie developers, if you're there at EGX and you want to kind of talk to us, give us a shout on the Xbox Hub. You can get us on Twitter, or you can get us on email. Give us a shout, and maybe we can meet up and interview you. Be good, wouldn't it? It's quite quiet this year in EGX. It's not as so. It'd be great to meet people. It's not a lot of the developers are going because of COVID, because of many reasons, I think. But so it'd be great to meet up with people. Yeah.
If I may ask, what does EGX stand for?
That's a very good question, William, and I've got no idea. James, what does it stand for? I think it's got to be Games Expo in there.
Eurogamer Expo or something?
Yeah,
European Gaming.
I think that sounds right.
Okay, Eurogamer Expo. There we go. The only reason I ask is Toronto's big one, which I don't think it might be running this year. I think it might be too late. You guys had COVID under control a bit quicker than we did. Sort of. Well, But our big show is called EGLX, or Enthusiast Gaming Live Expo. So I was wondering if they were the same show. But, yeah.
Yeah, it could be. There must be a connection there. It's going to be very weird for us. It's going to be really weird going because it's at the Excel Centre in London. And the Excel Centre in London was one of the Nightingale hospitals that was set up to help COVID patients who are very ill and put on ventilators. So it's going to be very weird to go into that place again. After all what's occurred.
The weird left on the beds there. They're the stalls for the games. You never lie down when you play some games.
They won't do that, I hope. What games have we been playing, you lot? Let's start with James. James, what have you been playing?
Well, you know what time of year it is. It's FIFA time.
It's FIFA time.
So I'm playing quite a lot of FIFA 22. And I think for the moment I picked it up. Well, if anyone doesn't know, it's a football game. Just in case there are people that have never played it. But yeah, the minute I started playing it, I thought they've really gone for like a kind of Pro Evo old school approach where you need to take a few more touches. It's a bit more, what would you say? You got to think about what you're going to do before you get the ball. You can't one touch, pass and shoot all the time. It's a bit more considered, a more considered approach to football. And I think it's a much better game last year, gameplay wise. But I think the problem for me is the Ultimate Team is the biggest draw, but it's also the biggest disappointment. And I know you've noticed it, Gareth. The players, it's not even out until today officially.
Yeah.
And people have already got the best teams you can probably get in the game.
Yeah.
And that was usually the good part of Ultimate Team. You start with bronze, get a few silvers and work your way up to the big guys. But it's there before you even got through a day or two.
Yeah.
It's mad.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. The biggest thing sorry, William, this is boring for you for the FIFA, but you used to start, in the first 2 weeks. You're right. You'll be playing bronze teams or silver teams, won't you, with the odd gold thrown in. But now it's like we've all got gold teams with superstars in there as well. So it's a completely.
It's lost that sense of achievement of getting a decent player. You used to go, wow, I've got, let's say, Danny Ings. That'd be a great early card.
Yeah.
But now, Danny Ings is like, just get rid of him before you even use him.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for Ronaldo or De Bruyne or anyone like that.
I think it's hard, isn't it? Because I think it's all about the cash now with it. I think it's almost like they just want to get to that point when people are going opening packs to get the superstars, the things, and it's that's their money.
They've already released, I think, today, new versions of players that are already like 91 rated.
Yeah,
it's like, wow, where did they go? Are they going to make players 110 overall rating or something stupid?
I think the best thing I did last year was I stopped playing it, and it was like it becomes an addiction. And I'm not saying that thing because it's very addictive, and you get really into it, and then you start. I've gone into it again, but when I sort of like had to, it's like kind of cold turkey. I had to say no more of that. I've got to stop playing Ultimate Team, and it was much better. I had more time, but also it was a much better. It felt better. It didn't become this kind of weird, addiction.
And to its credit, the one major new improvement to the game modes is the fact you can have male and female players on the same team.
Yeah.
In clubs.
Yeah.
It's a nice little change. And you can stage them up.
Yeah,
decorate it.
It's just sort of like loads of little minor bits, isn't it? Rather than a complete overhaul.
Which and the gameplay is definitely improved.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But Ultimate Team is just.
And career mode's meant to be very good as well, so we're going to have a go at that.
I think I'll regret that in the next week or so.
Yeah.
We can hear about it all again next week,
Great.
folks.
They love that.
But you can't wait.
William, what have you been playing?
So I have been playing Lost in Random. My hope is to get the review in for that one really soon. It's just been longer than I expected. I've been busy, but it's pretty good. I think I love the style of it. I will be the first to say that. I think it looks amazing. They've got the whole Tim Burton, Henry Selick type thing going on with the visuals. The writing is immensely charming. It's got a great voice cast. But I'm not feeling the combat system as much as I wish I was. It's a really unique idea, this sort of merger of random chance and action combat and turn-based battles. Like it's a really interesting idea that I don't think has quite stuck the landing with me. And because there are so many combat encounters, and some of them can last like up to 20 minutes, it's not quite gripping me as much as I wish it did. But again, there is a lot that is drawn here, and I think the developers of this, Zoink, who are part of Thunderful now, the same group that's doing the Gunk, a different group of theirs, they're going to be worth a watch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? There's so much coming out at the moment. There's so much, on the indie front.
I know.
There's so much. It's like you're talking about Lost and Random then, and I'm thinking of a game that came out 3 months ago now, and it only came out, what is it, a week ago or something?
Yeah, it's less than a month old. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how much stuff there is out there. It's just like
They seem to they're getting piled on top of, aren't they?
yeah.
Some good games are getting lost in the immense amount that are coming out.
I think because you haven't got the AAAs, there isn't a wealth of those like there normally might be. I think it's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair.
I think they've gone get all the indies out, but there's loads of them, And
well, the indies can also work from home easier. It's easier to adjust it to that. Really, it seems to be only Microsoft, Activision, Ubisoft, and EA that have big stuff for the holiday.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just sort of keeping their heads low. And then February of all months is just stacked on paper. You've got Dying Light, and then the week after is Horizon, and then the week after that is Saints Row. It's like, come on. When are we going to have time for this?
Yeah, I know. Talking about indie games, I played a little game called The Jugglers Tale that I've just put in for review, so it should be out, I don't know, soon. And The Juggler's Tale is a lovely little game. It's very short, 2 hours long or something. And you play... the whole setup is like you're watching a puppet show. Like a little kind of like Punch and Judy show. And the curtains go back and there's the little figures. And there's this voiceover who tells you the story. And then it goes into a kind of like platform 2.5D world. Like almost like Inside or Little Nightmares. And you're travelling through this kind of world following this little character called Abby, but all the characters have got strings attached to them still, going up into the sky. And so the platform is different. So you might be able to be platforming along, but if you go up against a tree, the strings would stop you from carrying on. So you have to work out a way of moving the tree or moving the obstacle to get past. So you've got the strings to deal with. But what it does do is tell this really great fairy tale. It does a twist in it. I'm not going to say that turns the whole thing on its head. You think you're comfortable with how this is. Oh, this is a lovely little platform, and then it does something very meta and does something very strange that turns everything around in a really satisfying way. But also it looks beautiful. My God, it looks. I mean, I'm playing it on Series X, and it just looks amazing. The backdrops are unbelievable. Sort of hand-drawn, kind of like the colours. Yeah, it's one of the most prettiest games there. That and the game that you reviewed, William, that I loved, Artful Escape, are my two favourite looking games at the moment, which I loved, by the way. I still think you should have gave it 5 stars, William.
What did I give it?
4.5.
4.5. I'm sitting back on. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot.
You did. That's great. So yeah, those are the two British games. So I'll give that a go. Jugglers Tale, I think it's just out now. I think it came out on Wednesday. I think.
How much is it?
I think it's a little bit over. So it's 2 hours. I think it's about £13. I couldn't get a price on the UK one. Yeah,
that's quite a bit for.
Yeah, that's the only thing. That's why I've given it a 4. I think out of 5 rather than a proper thing. But yeah. Good, James. What else have you got?
Well, I reviewed. It was Nexomon Extinction last year, and it was like a Pokemon inspired RPG. It was fantastic, and now they've released the original Nexomon on the consoles. So it was a bit weird going back to like where it all began with Nexomon.
Yeah.
But I think that's really the worst thing they could have done, because everything that was good about Extinction isn't really in the original Nexomon. This is more of a Pokemon clone. So it's too similar. So you've got a lot of similar tropes. Like, obviously, you have a team of 6 Nexomon monsters. You've got to catch them in Nexo traps. The world's quite small, and the story's only about, I'd say, 10 hours long. which is very short for a Pokemon style game. But yeah, the main story is you're a Nexomon tamer, and you've got to stop the world from being destroyed by the most evilest, powerful Nexomon in all the land, which is just a standard story. But it doesn't quite have the same humour that the sequel has. It doesn't look as good. It's just not as good. But it's still slightly addictive if you like Pokemon.
Okay.
But the battling's a bit weird as well. I mean, I defeated the main boss almost too easily. I literally froze the boss.
Right.
And then just kept spamming him. And I've never beaten a main boss in the first try. And I literally didn't even get hit once. So the battling's a little bit skewed.
Sounds like my perfect game, this.
Yeah, you're a blast with it. You definitely complete it. Yeah, it's a little bit grindy as well. But on its own, it's a good game. But compared to Extinction and the main Pokemon series, it's just a little bit too samey.
Right.
But it's good. The review should be out in a few days. I'm probably going to give it about 3.5, 4. Probably 3.5. It's cheap. It's at £8.
No, that's good.
So you can't really complain too much.
Good.
But yeah, definitely you want to play a Pokemon-like game, get Extinction. Forget this original one.
Right. Okay. Good.
It's
Thank
better.
you. Thank you, Jane. William, have you got any more games you've been playing? Not had a chance. You've been busy.
Yeah, I've been busy. I threw a couple matches into Halo last week, and I'll have a bit more to say on that, what I have planned for next week. But yeah, no, Halo's great.
Is it? Everyone's talking about it being really good. Yeah.
Like, admittedly, I put like 15 hours in that first playtest. I didn't even put in a fraction of that in the second, but that's no reflection of the quality of the product itself. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It feels so good. It looks so good. And yeah, I think people are naturally skeptical about this game after the very rocky development cycle. But once you're playing it, at least the multiplayer, I have no worries about the quality of that. At least it's wonderful. It's great.
What makes it wonderful? What makes it really good? I know it's free, but why is it different from the other ones, the other Halo games, or is it?
It is, but it isn't. The best way I can describe it is if you took the multiplayer of 2 or 3 and just modernized it with modern game design aesthetics and everything. I mean, the problem with 4 and 5 is they played pretty close to Call of Duty in some senses, and the sprinting was too fast, and it took away a lot of the stuff that made Halo, and they bring that back here. This is a more balanced, more polished experience. I think the other thing as well, some people are a little upset about the aiming, but it's not a game that holds your hand in the aim assist. This is a game that has a high skill ceiling that I think anyone can pick up and enjoy. They've got tons of great options for newcomers and those who want a very casual play session against some bots, but they also have high-level competitive play here. I'm just really impressed overall.
Great.
With Infinite.
Okay.
It feels great.
Good. December, isn't it? December the 8th.
Yeah, December the 8th. And the worst thing is, December the 8th, I have 3 assignments due, and then I have another 2 on the 9th. And so that's going to be busy. But once that's done, I'm done. So the 10th, I'm doing nothing but playing Halo.
Great. Good. Next game I'm going to talk about, the last game I'll talk about, is I've been playing a game called Apsulov, End of Gods. And I've probably said that wrong. I've butchered that probably. And it's a game that was on PC for a while, and it basically sets you in the future. It's in the future. There's been a sort of apocalypse on Earth, and you're in this facility. It really reminds me of something like Doom 3. You're in this facility. You're walking around, it's very low lit, there's no lights. You wake up in this kind of, you don't know who you are, but you've got sort of tattoos and ruins on your arms. It's in first person. and this machine is kind of operating on you, and then suddenly you're thrown into this world, and you walk around the facility. Everyone's kind of died. There's a couple of people who are giving you instructions, and the idea behind it is like the humans. They dug deep into the earth and they found artifacts from Norse times. So they found things like the hammer of Thor, this huge hammer. They found this kind of robot thing. They found the wolf is running around who's South Ragnarok. He's running around as well. So they found all these artifacts that were buried for a reason. And as they've released it, they've released a kind of world of those myths, those Norse myths of the Tree of Life. That's these roots that are running around this facility. They've opened the 9 realms, and there are 9 realms that you go to. And so you can. So what you do is you sort of end up going through this kind of journey in first person, and you have it's no combat. There's a lot of kind of like you have this ability to, because it's very dark, to see like a virtual sort of printout of the location you're in for a short time, so that'll help you through the darkness. And you've got a kind of robotic arm that gets strapped onto you that opens doors or passes, like level 2 area. You have to kind of upgrade the arm so you can get to access to higher places. And then later on, it gives a little burst of energy that can propel people backwards, enemies backwards, or creatures backwards, or kill some of them in the end. What's really nice about it? It's a very small development team, and at times it looks like a AAA game. With some of the bigger kind of environments, like you travel to Helheim, which is like hell, and that looks amazing, all kind of blue and these kind of creatures. And another time you travel to the frozen world, which I've forgotten the name of, and there's these massive ice giants just sort of slowly walking around, trying to look. If they look at you, they grab you, so it's a bit stealthy. But they've created a kind of 5, maybe 6 and 7 hour experience. It's almost between. It's like a AA game, I think it is, and I really liked it. I thought it was great. If you like those kind of like, it's hard to describe what it is because it could be a survival horror game without any combat. It hasn't really got combat, but there are elements of combat. It's a lot of kind of exploration. It's a really tricky one. It's a mixture of sort of light combat and survival horror. But yeah, it's worth having a go at if you see it. I don't know how much it is. I think it might be a bit expensive. I think it might be 20 odd quid at the moment. Get that if you fancy, but if you want to see it in sale, definitely pick it up. Yeah,
it
really
sounds like an interesting mix of genres.
Yeah,
it sounds a bit sci-fi.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I said that. I played a lot of Viking games now. Oh my god! So I feel like I know this world completely now. But they've done a really good way of combining both. That Viking Norse world mythology with a kind of sci-fi setting. That's not been done. And it's clever. It's very clever. Storytelling is really good.
Hey, don't erase Too Human, the first one to do the.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, of course, yes, it did. Bloody rip-offs of Two Humans. That's what we've done. Yeah, Two Human. I forgot about that. The game that took 20 years to come out.
Good game, though.
Good game. Yeah. Good, gentlemen. Let's go on to some news because Tokyo Game Show has started. And it's still going on as we speak. But the Xbox little showcase happened, and we've seen a bit of Square this morning before we started recording. Should we just talk about the Xbox stuff first of all?
Yeah.
What highlights out of that? James, what do you want to talk about?
How do I narrow it down to just some highlights? I mean, it wasn't like a packed show of great stuff, but I did like the fact that they just went, "Oh, this is going to Game Pass today." That was really the highlight to me. Did you get? I think it was Scarlet Nexus. Coming out.
Yeah. That
was yesterday, obviously. AI, the Somnium Files, and Mighty Goose. I thought. I mean, that was impressive.
There's another one in there as well, James. I think. There's another kind of like RPG type game, isn't there?
Was it Astria?
That's the one, yeah. Tales of Astria.
Ascended?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And Marvel Avengers came out the same day
It did,
on
didn't it?
Game Pass. That's a massive day
Yeah.
on Game Pass.
Yeah. I think someone's got their lines crossed with that. I think they didn't realise all this was going to happen the same day. They've just, it's a lot going on.
It overshadowed each other, really.
Yeah.
And Marvel's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, that AI, the Somnium Files, looks quite interesting. It's like a murder mystery set in Tokyo. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to give that a go. I don't know if either of you have heard of it or anything.
No, not at all. I haven't.
I've heard it's excellent. That's about all I know.
Good. But, I mean, Scarlet Nexus to be on now already as well. That was one of those, would you try it, would you not try it? Now it's in Game Pass, give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's perfect for me because I tried the demo and it just broke almost immediately. It wasn't registering my my hits, so I was sitting back going, no way I'm getting this day one. But now that's on Game Pass, it has a second lease on life here, and if I end up really liking it, then I might be on board for a sequel or whatever else they might do. So I think it's a good idea to do this.
Exactly. Perfect, isn't it?
William, what about you? Any highlights from that? There wasn't that much. That's what we're saying.
Well, the first thing I'll say is that I think it was a massive improvement over last year. Last year, they just had like a PowerPoint slide and then PowerPoint presentation about the market and then just showed the E3 trailers again. Like this at least had some new stuff to it.
Yeah.
And the stage and everything else. And the highlight, weirdly enough, was not the highlight watching it, but after finding out exactly what Phil Spencer and Shinji Mikami were talking about. And hidden in that interview is that Tango Gameworks are making a brand new game, and they're halfway through it already. They're sort of halfway through development. It's from the director of The Evil Within 2, and that will be their first Xbox exclusive. So I was a little worried, with Ghostwire now being delayed to next year, that we wouldn't be seeing Tango actually release something on Xbox exclusively for like another 5 years or so. But it seems like part of the reason Ghostwire took so long is they've split the studio in half and there are two teams, and so that's great, Microsoft really needed a Japanese studio, and now they have one.
Yeah.
So let's see what they've got up their sleeves, eh?
I mean, also he said as well, we're working with Japanese publishers every single day to increase our lineup of Japanese games on Xbox. We know it's really important to fans and customers on Xbox. There's a kind of like there's a commitment, isn't there? A promise to kind of like going, okay, we need to do better here as well.
Yeah, I mean that's their biggest gap for sure.
Yeah.
It's that, then family games, then the Sony style third-person ones. Those are really the big three.
They also had this. Their commitment was to say about the Redall, which is the Arcane Studios game, and Starfield will have Japanese text and voices at launch, which was kind of like will be localized for Japan, which is also a really good move, I think.
Yeah, that's a great move, in particular, because those games really have the potential to make Xbox a bigger brand there. And they introduced cloud gaming as well to Japan. So that's going to be huge, especially given how great the internet is in Japan, to making Xbox viable again. I mean, I believe they have sold as many Series X and X consoles in the last year in Japan than they sold of the entire lifespan of the Xbox One. So
wow.
It's crazy.
Not that it was a big number to overcome, but they're growing at least. So,
and just a quick thing, we had a little mention about Starfield, didn't we? That there's over 300 actors and 150,000 lines of dialogue.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's like 2-3 times that of Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nuts.
It's gonna be mad, isn't it? It's coming quite soon now, a year and a bit. Now, Square. What about Square? Did you both have a quick look at that? I mean, there wasn't much again, was there really? It was anything James, you saw there? And if you got a
I
chance-
didn't even see Square.
No, fair
No,
enough.
I didn't catch up on that one.
What about you, William? Anything from Square?
I caught the highlights. They announced a couple of new things. All of them skipping Xbox in favor of PC, mobile, Switch, and PS4. It's like, if you gotta spend the money to bring it to all of those, what? Like, the PC to Xbox is pretty cheap. So I don't know why they don't do it. I can't say I fully understand Square sometimes.
Yeah.
And we might have more to say on that too later. But yeah.
Final Fantasy spin-off, which is the Stranger of Paradise game. It's got a release date March 18th, 2022. That's the biggest really announcement there. That busy March and February time is going to be packed.
Did you show any more Guardians?
I think they did the same trailer we've seen before. Same with the PS5 game that I've forgotten the name of. The big PS5 game. What's that called? From Square.
Babylon's Fall, Forspoken.
I forgot what it's called.
Which one is it? Is it the one? Is it the one that sort of looks like Final Fantasy 15, or is it
Forspoken?
Platinum?
Forspoken.
Yeah, Forspoken.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of about it. There was other bits and bobs in there, but yeah, that's a big one. There wasn't any Final Fantasy 16, which I think people were hoping for, which is the big one. Sorry, William, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think they said ahead of time that they weren't gonna do it. So, yeah.
James, what else have we got there from the whole thing? What's you've highlighted a few things here. Tell me about them.
I thought, especially for you, the rabbit game. Is it Muffin?
Okay.
Muffin?
Yeah.
Where rabbits are getting thrown out of the home by humans constructing something in their area.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a platformer.
It's always good for me. Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Cute little game.
Yeah.
Might be a bit too tricky for you, but I mean, it's worth trying to help the rabbits.
It's always a good to help the rabbits, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite interesting because I never heard that game before. And the weirdest one though was it The Good Life?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really understand what was going on too well, but it seems like you're a journalist and you go around like taking pictures to earn money. But it looked really out of date, like really poor graphically.
Yeah.
This looks like you're going to be taking pictures like Peter Parker. Take a few pictures, sell them for some money, and get on with your life. A very simple game, but it was a strange one in the middle of the conference.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm playing it, but.
And what is Eternal Return? Is that tell me about that, you lot.
Eternal Return. Wasn't that the original name for Returnal?
Yeah, well, I was joking that Eternal Return, there's that whole meme out there. It's like, why don't we have X at home? We do have X at home, and then the picture is X at home. Like, why don't we have Returnal on Xbox? We do have Returnal on Xbox. It's Eternal Return. but it's this sort of MOBA survival.
That's right, yeah.
Twin stick shooter battle royale thing. Like, you gotta admit they're throwing a lot of stuff at the wall, and hopefully it sticks.
Yeah.
It's coming to PC like next month, and they'll come to Xbox after.
And unsoiled, not unsoiled. What the hell is that?
Unsoiled was it's probably the only one that didn't really interest me at all, not even the slightest. It's like a 2D action RPG.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
really fast though.
Yeah, really fast.
Really fast.
It's too hard. Bit too hard.
Yeah, you really have to be careful how you react, apparently, because the enemies are quite smart.
Just looks like hard work.
It does. It was hard work to keep up what was going on. It was so fast. But yeah, still, some out there is like, wow, this is the game I've been waiting for. Get me in there. But yeah, not for me.
Good. Shall we move on from Tokyo?
Let's do it.
Will you be happy?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to go through some news quickly. Sony has officially, they've got Blue Point Games. They've acquired that as a studio. They've done that. Blue Point Games have done the remakes of Shadow of the Colossus and recently Demon Souls. I thought they owned them already, to be honest with you.
I thought they did.
Yeah. So it wasn't a great surprise.
Well, the funniest thing is that Japan, Sony Japan leaked this out. When Housemarque was bought, they said, welcome Bluepoint. And they had a graphic made for Bluepoint and everything and spoiled it 3 months ago.
Wow.
So I don't know why it took them this long, but welcome Bluepoint. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you were basically first party anywhere, but it's official now.
Yeah.
You know?
They're developing a new game. They're not remaking a game at the moment. They're developing a new one. And that would be exciting.
And a remake too. Apparently they're doing two things. Yeah, a remake and a smaller sort of Miles Morales game. That's a style, size game. That's what I've heard.
Good.
So
okay, yeah.
They're
very good at that. They're really good at doing their remakes. Let's talk about. Let's just have a brief talk about. I think this is quite funny, William, if you're not into football. eFootball, which is the old PES football, is launched, and it's not having a good time, is it, James?
Not having a good time is probably an understatement. It's apparently it looks a mess, and I've seen video footage. It just everything about it screams a broken mess. I mean, there's pictures of I think Ronaldo and Messi, and they both look like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. And that's with scanned players. They've scanned these players, and they still look horrendous. So many bugs.
There's lots of great things when someone put a picture of Messi and went, "This is my Tinder picture, and this is what I like when I turn up for the date." And the picture from the PES thing.
One person described the game as all the character models were designed by the person who made that Ronaldo statue a couple years back.
Oh yeah.
Looking face.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's not having a great time. I mean, there's lots of bugs and terrible things happening. People taking corners that are ghosts that are not there.
It is currently the worst game on Steam by rating.
Yeah,
It's actually impressive. What the heck is going on with Konami?
I know. It could kill this completely, couldn't it? I think
it will.
Best thing is it's free, so at least you didn't have to spend money on it.
I know. I think they just wanted that base, didn't they? So then you would buy the DLC. But if you haven't got that base at all, it's hard for people to then,
And the last PES was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And why did they release this the same day as FIFA? Imagine sitting down going, okay, we have this game. It looks like this. Let's release it the same day as FIFA. There's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. Sad, really. It's really sad. Konami are reviving a few games, aren't they? Castlevania.
Yep.
Metal Gear. And Silent Hill. What does that mean? Are they doing remasters of this?
So this just came fresh from Video Games Chronicle. So supposedly Konami is reviving Castlevania in-house, hopefully not with the Seat football team. Metal Gear, they are doing a game set around the same time as Metal Gear 3. And they are outsourcing this to a Chinese studio. We don't know them yet.
Right.
And then Silent Hill, there are supposedly 2 games in the works. One from a quote-unquote prolific Japanese studio, and then the other one is supposedly Blue Team. So, credit where it's due, they're realizing that they are sitting on a treasure trove of great franchises. Now, whether or not these reboots, go more successful or end up like Contra Rogue Core remains to be seen, but it's nice to see them at least trying again, trying to make some new stuff that aren't pachinko machines.
Yeah. So, Blooper, is it Blooper Team who did Layers of Fear?
Yeah, Layers of Fear, the medium.
they did a tease this week about a new Layers of Fear game, didn't they? Did you both see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. The paint physics, they look really good. You know,
Yeah.
I love Blue Booth, and I hope that they continue to work with Xbox as they have. You know, I think they're a really talented team. They're publicly listed on the Warsaw Stock Exchange, so I don't think Microsoft's ever going to buy them. But that doesn't mean that they can't still work together. And so I'd like to see more.
I'd like to see a Layers of Fear game. I love those games. And also it's on the Unreal Engine 5, which would be amazing. They always look great anyway. Good. Now I saw this, so the Grand Theft Auto, which we talked about, the trilogy, which is 3, Vice City and Andreas. There's been talk of a remaster coming, and a Korean site have actually listed it on a Games Rain thing. And then it's been taken down? Is it still there? I can't remember if they remember, but there's a rumor of it coming out in November. And I think this is getting more and more solid by the time. We've had this for a while. And typical Rockstar and Take-Two, they haven't said a word, but they never do. So I always said this before on the podcast, but I remember Grand Theft Auto 3 being released, and no one knew anything about it until the day. And it got released. And I remember that really clearly. Maybe the day before people knew about it. And
you know people buy it, won't you?
Well, but then at the time they didn't really. They had the other two sort of like top-down ones, but it wasn't, it was that kind of thing of going, here it is.
Like it is now.
Here's the game. There you go. And then it just suddenly sold. That became what it was, this huge thing that it became, And reviewed amazingly. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me if they just suddenly go, here you go. November the 10th. Will you go back? You hate it, James. Will you go back? Do you hate him as well?
I haven't played the earlier ones. I played 5. It was okay. I'm not huge into Grand Theft Auto. I like Red Dead.
I don't think anyone is on this podcast. It's only me.
That said, the one thing that bugs me about this is the name. Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition. Like, is it a trilogy though? Like when I hear the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, I think 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, of course, people love those games. Vice City, San Andreas in particular, people love that one. And for people such as myself who haven't tried it out, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to rush day one for it, but 2K's games kind of go down in price over the years, give or take. So I think maybe a year after, if I have some time, I'll pick it up and give it a whirl.
Good. Crystal Dynamics. What's going on there, William?
This is a weird one. So Crystal Dynamics, which is a Square Enix-owned studio. Remember how I said earlier in this podcast that I had something to say about how Square is weird?
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden, they are developing Perfect Dark with the Initiative. The Square Enix studio is making a Microsoft-published first-party game. Now, some people send back going, oh, this means something's going wrong at Xbox. No, this was all according to plan for them. The thing is, the Initiative was always going to outsource. That was their plan. They were going to have a small team of about 100 or so devs. They're at 70 right now. And then get help from like Certain Affinity or, Sumo Digital, those types of studios to help them make this. But the studio head and the directors and a lot of the people at the Initiative were old Crystal Dynamics employees. And, Crystal Dynamics, they've had a bad streak of luck as of late. Rise of the Tomb Raider, fantastic game, didn't sell that well. Shadow sold even worse. Avengers, was very expensive and did not live up to expectations for Square. And so they were in pre-production on a new Tomb Raider, but that's years away. And so I think it was a case of, what do we do with all these employees and all these staff now if they aren't going to be used otherwise? you can put them on something like Stranger of Paradise, I guess. You can try and get them to help get Guardians out the door, but that's out next month. You can try and put them on Avengers, but it's unclear the fate of that game. Now that's on Game Pass, it might be doing better. So, but Microsoft approached them and just said, hey, we know that you have some people free right now. Are you willing to work together? And Square said, yes, go ahead. We'll lend out our biggest Western studio to go make you game. And so that's really interesting. And people like Jeff Grubb and a couple others are saying, maybe this is a quote-unquote tryout to see how does Crystal Dynamics work within the Xbox family. Maybe they might be selling. Because as I said, Square, even from the Tomb Raider reboot, which was fantastic, has not been too pleased with the performance of these games. But in a company like Microsoft, where sales don't matter so much as engagement and play count and brand recognition and everything else, Crystal Dynamics is a fantastic fit. And they are one of the big studios making those quote-unquote Sony-type games, your Uncharted, Last of Us style games. So maybe we see a future in which Crystal Dynamics and maybe even Eidos Montreal join Xbox. It's interesting.
Oh, very interesting. They did put something out about the Tomb Raider game this week. They were looking for one of they were advertising for a member staff on the Tomb Raider, one of the new Tomb Raider games. But as you said, that's probably years away, isn't it? Of them.
Yeah, my understanding is it's pretty early because they thought that Avengers was going to be the next Destiny or Sea of Thieves or what have you, and you were going to need a big team always working on it. And unfortunately, it hasn't really been the hit that they thought it was going to be. Yeah. So that, Square's loss is ultimately Microsoft's gain here. And Square gets some good money too out of this, and Crystal Dynamics gets the security of a big contract. So, yeah.
Good.
Win ultimately.
Good. Very good. Right, gentlemen, what are we looking forward to next week? What's coming out? James, what are you looking forward to? Anything?
Well, it depends if I buy it or not, but I'm quite looking forward to Far Cry 6.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Good.
I've never really played Far Cry, but that one's really enticed me.
It's got your attention.
Yeah, especially the weapons. The weapons look quite cool.
Good, yeah. Oh, you should do it, yeah. Good. William, what about you?
So I believe this one opened for you guys today, but the new James Bond, No Time to Die, opens on Wednesday for us here in Canada. So I've got tickets to go see that. I've heard mixed, but overall pretty positive.
Yeah, pretty positive stuff I've heard. Yeah.
To that, and then Halo as well, as I mentioned earlier, they were doing a playtest, and I'm going to try and hop in at some point this weekend and hopefully get that Lost in Random review out.
Good. I've got a million games to review, so I'll be doing a lot of that. But one of the things I'm doing is Life is Strange DLC, True Colours, which I did the review for. It was my only 5 of the year, so I'm looking forward to playing the bit of DLC, which focuses on one of the characters. I'm quite enjoying getting back into that world, so that'll be good. Now, if we want to get hold of you, William, where will we get hold?
So you can contact me on Twitter at William J. Caruana. I am trying to use that a bit more again, but stay off the crazy upwards.
Yeah.
So just send me a shout.
Good. James, what about you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at OKGKO.
Great, and you can find me, as always, on Twitter and Twitch. I'm GB Briley. But for now, gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.